Hi guys, and welcome to the first episode of my brand new series. In each of these videos, I'll be featuring a new Hearthstone deck archetype, starting with the Ungor release in the standard format. Welcome to Amaz's Mammoth decks. Have you heard? Freeze mages have been converting to this new archetype ever since Icelands got rotated out of standard. I call this deck the Exodia Mage, referencing the popular Exodia combo in the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise, where a player would immediately win the game if he assembled all 5 pieces of this legendary creature.
Exodia! Obliterate!
This deck is pretty difficult to play at first, but it is super rewarding once you create the perfect win condition. The core of this deck revolves around completing the quest, Open the Waygate. Once you have casted 6 spells generated outside of your deck list, you get a 5 mana Time Warp spell that lets you get an extra turn. You can actually cast 2 Sorcerer's Apprentice, 2 Molten Reflections, and Time Warp in the same turn, after you complete the quest. And then finally, in your extra turn, drop down Archmage Antonidas, cast any spell that's left over in your hand, and then hurl infinite 0 mana fireballs for a sweet victory. As such, 2 copies of Sorcerer's Apprentice, 2 Molten Reflections, Open the Waygate, and Archmage Antonidas makes up your core slots in the deck and are your main win condition. This deck plays much like the old school Freeze Mage in that it requires time to not only assemble the right cards, but also making sure your opponent doesn't kill you too quickly. Here are the main support points you need to cover while building this deck. You need RNG spells to trigger your quest, you need card draws to find your win conditions, and you also need stall cards. First, the RNG spells. You actually need 6 spells generated through other sources in the game to complete Open the Waygate. Babbling Book only costs you 1 mana and can generate you a mage spell, while Primordial Glyph discovers a spell while also giving you back the 2 mana discount used to cast it. Both of these cards are probably the most efficient way of completing the quest. However, since you do need more sources, you would need to look at some other options that are not the premium choices. You can choose between Shimmering Tempest, Kabbalist's Tome, Burgly Bully, or even Cabal Courier. Shimmering Tempest and Kabbalist's Tome will always guarantee you getting some card draw, although they are a bit more expensive. Burgly Bully in some matchups can generate you a coin, which is paramount to completing the quest, although in some matchups, like Pirate Warrior, it could be pretty dead. And finally, Cabal Courier could actually get you some quests, although once again, you are getting a mixture of Discover cards that might be minions, so you have to take that into account. Next, cycling through your deck is paramount for any combo deck, and Exodia Mage has access to one of the best card draws in Hearthstone, Arcane Intellect. Other great card draw effects include the new Archaeologist, Cold Light Oracle, Novice Engineer, Blood Mage Thalnos, and Loot Hoarder. Archaeologist synergizes really well with secrets you're going to play as stall cards such as Ice Block and Ice Bearer, which we'll cover in the next section. And of course, cheap minions that draw the cards immediately, like Cold Light Oracle and Novice Engineer, come in pretty handy. If you don't mind the delayed effect of the Death Rattle draws, you can also play Blood Mage Thalnos and Loot Hoarder for some added benefits in spell damage and the extra attack. Finally, while your opponent can't interact with your strategy to assemble the win condition too fast, you must try and hinder them to prevent yourself from dying. This usually involves stopping their minions, and the classic Frost Nova and Doomsayer combo works wonders on minion-based decks. Remember, you can always break apart the combo if the situation calls for it, such as playing Doomsayer on turn 2. It's really hard to kill a minion that has 7 health in turn 2 this early on, and if it does go off, you stop their tempo development dramatically, and you actually get to establish your cards such as card draw and secrets. Blizzard is also a high value choice for this Sol category, as it freezes your opponent's board and deals with minions as it deals 2 damage. And if you want more AoE effects, you can consider choosing Volcanic Potion for early game aggro decks, Cone of Cold for some more mid-range decks, and Flame Strike if the meta calls for more removal. Secrets like Ice Block are key into buying those extra turns you need to complete your combo while preventing your opponent from killing you outright. Ice Barrier is also important to gaining you precious life in the form of 8 armor, and sometimes this provides more healing than the Frost Nova on the board with only a few minions, so keep that in mind. If you want to run a more secret heavy list of Exodia Mage, you can use Mana Bind because it provides an extra tick on your quest, and since you're at it, why not include Medivh's Valet to remove high priority minions your opponents might employ, such as Flame Tongue Totem and Blood Cell Raider. Exodia Mage is a really good choice if the meta is full of control decks such as Priest and Paladin. It's also very decent against Rogue and Sulok because they normally cannot defeat a Frost Nova Doomsayer combo. And also Elemental Shaman plays very similar to a mid-range deck you want to pounce upon. However, if the meta is full of aggressive decks such as Hunter, Pirate Warrior, Jade Shaman, and Quest Warrior, you might want to reconsider your choice in Exodia Mage. Here are some great tips to make sure you don't make a fool of yourself when playing this Exodia Mage, since it is a pretty hard deck to master. First, don't overuse your resources and space them out. You probably don't need to Frost Nova your opponent's 2 minions when you can Frost Nova the next turn and probably hit a few more minions and thereby gaining you more life. Plan ahead and disrupt your opponent's win condition. Sometimes they come in the form of minions trying to bash your face in and reduce your health to 0. Other times, they might be trying to complete the quest, and if you make it very hard for them to complete it, then it actually buys you more time to assemble your combo. Make sure to remember that you get 1 extra draw when you play Time Warp. If you don't even have the Antonidas combo in the hand, you might as well try and play Time Warp and play your 4 Sorcerer's Apprentice. You might draw into the Archmage Antonidas in your extra turn, so don't concede too early. Mouse over your quest to see which spells count. The spells that count will be colored, and while the spells that are featured in your deck will not be colored and will be a bit faded. And of course, remember that the coin also counts towards the 6 spells you need to cast. And lastly, perhaps the most important of all, make sure you have enough hand space when you complete your quest. You can't win if you can't YOLO, you know? I got the girl. Perfect. Wait, what? Oh! Oh no! Oh my god! I didn't have space for the quest. Oh god. Do not cast an Arcane Intellect into 10 cards, completing a quest, and then failing to put it into your hand. Finally, perhaps the meta is full of Exodia Mages, and you are the one that needs to defeat this type of deck. Well, here are some different choices you could have. First, disrupting the combo is very important, and if you can play Dirty Rat, that pulls one of their Sorcerer's Apprentice or Archmage Antonidas out, or you could be playing Ice Block yourself, then effectively you would have shut down the Exodia Mage combo. Another choice would be to be very aggressive. Cards like Corcoran Elite and hero powers like Steady Shot really limits the time that Exodia Mage has to assemble the combo. Why not just try and mill them sometimes? You can use Cold Light Oracle or even Naturalize. Once they lose one part of the combo, it's really hard for them to win the game from there. And finally, of course, keep an eye out for weird counters such as Eye for an Eye, which when you play them, they can't really win because they do need to fling a fireball to your face, and you most likely are going to proc their Ice Block when they're at 1 health. That also means that Hydrologist, which is one of the new Ungoro cards for Paladin, is a very great counter for Exodia Mage, while also making sure your other matchups are not that bad, since Hydrologist could discover another secret in one of the other matchups. And lastly, here are some deck lists that I constructed to get you started on making the perfect Exodia Mage deck list. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Amaz's Mammoth decks. Exodia Mage is a very hard deck to play properly, but it is really awesome if you can actually pull the combo off. And in the right metas, such as a mid-range and control one, this is going to be a very, very good inclusion because this is the new style of Freeze Mage. Let me know what you guys think about this episode, and of course, which deck you want me to cover next. From Amaz here, good luck in assembling combo, and we'll see you guys in the next one.